Right. So, yep. Good evening and welcome. And we are here today to talk about fears. Wow. I don't know where to start.
Ritesh, I have fear of dark.
You
And I can see
fear
only
dark?
dark things on the screen right now, apart from your face.
Really?
Yeah, there's a thing. Are you sharing
You-
something?
Yeah, I am screen sharing. Others, are you able to see my screen or a small slide that I...
Not
Oh,
yet.
oh, some are saying yes. Prashant is saying yes.
We
Somebody
can
is
see
saying...
your video, but no screen sharing.
That's funny. Okay, let me stop share and start sharing again, just in case.
Now,
Yes.
Is that better? Okay. Maybe the first time around my screen was feeling a little shy or a little scared, whichever way you want to put it. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's spend some time talking about fears and yeah, it's a small cozy group, so we can feel free to use mics and chats and whatever to have this conversation. And let's see how we can kind of help each other understand fears better. Yeah. Okay. So let's get going. Yeah. I want to start with a very small thing that I want you to not on chat or any place, but somewhere else, maybe on your device somewhere else or on a piece of paper. Just put down a fear that you have. Yeah. Just write down that fear. It could be anything. It could be, let's say you're scared of whatever, anything, heights, earthquakes, ghosts. I don't know, lizards, whatever you have a fear of. They could be. You don't write it in the chat window. This is. I don't want you to share this. I just want you to write it down somewhere. It's not important for us to know. It's just for you to kind of, yeah, whatever fear you have. And if you've done that, I'm assuming you've done that. So take a moment also to think about, hey, have you tried anything to kind of so-called overcome this fear? And yeah, and what about it? As in, just make a note or two, just whatever thoughts are immediately coming. Yeah, the idea was kind of touch base with one of our fears rather than, yeah. Yeah, so this particular thing, I don't want necessarily you to share in the chat. This is more for you. So, yeah, just write that down and think, hey, have you done anything? If you've done or tried anything, and if you've tried anything, what have you tried? Or maybe you have not tried anything, and that's also fine. So you can just make a note of where you are with respect to any one of your fear. Yeah. Again, for this particular thing, and please don't share in the chat. That's not really required. Okay. So that was just like a starting kind of a, we when we calibrate something, we set a 0 to it, like a scale as a 0 or something. So this is like the mean fear level kind of a thing. Base. Let's start with somewhere. Okay, so let's start with myself and put it down and let's see what it means. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, imagine that saying these 3 words, I feel scared. Yeah, that's what the child is saying. I feel scared. So what would be your response? Now, this you can share. Now, you can go ahead and start sharing it in chat. Let's use chat so that we can collect more people's responses. Just share whatever would be your response. Yeah. So the child is saying, I feel scared. And the child, and assume that you know what the child is scared of. So it's not like you have to check with what are you scared of. No. Assume you know what the child is scared of. It could be anything. It could be again like ghosts or dark or animals or people or strangers or whatever you want to, whatever the child is scared of, and and it's not even the first time, let's say. Okay. Okay, so we have some responses coming up. Why are you scared? I'm here, don't worry. I'll come here. Do you want to speak about it? Okay, don't get scared. I'm with you. What is Preeti written? What to you are? Okay, perhaps that means weakling or something like that. If I have to try, I'm trying to translate that word. What makes you feel scared? What thought is running in you? Let's try to address. Okay. Others, yeah. Okay, I understand your fear. It's okay to be scared. Okay, they're saying it's okay. Let's understand what's going on. Okay. Anybody else? And as you are sharing your response, spend a moment to also think about, hey, what is making you respond in this way? Whatever is making you, what's making you respond? Past condition, even if it's past conditioning, what is that conditioning? What is that thought process that is making you respond in this way? What do you want from this situation? So when you say compassion, what is it that you want? What is, because often these words may not be have one definition. So what is it that you are looking for? Or what is it that you are wanting? Okay. Bhashni is saying we as children were also told the same. Okay. Okay. So a little more. More people, whatever you are saying. So some of you said, why are you? Somebody started off with, why are you scared? And want her to be brave. Okay. To make the kid know she has support from me. Okay, here Rajini is saying, I would say what I wanted to hear when I was a child. Okay. Okay, Prashant is saying, I say what I say because I believe it. Yeah, but what is that difference that you want, Prashant? So that's what I'm looking at. Kirtika is saying, sorry, check if the child needs us. Okay. So a lot of very interesting responses coming. It's really the chat itself is so beautiful right now. If you, I hope you're reading through all the chat messages. It's really very interesting. Let's understand. Yeah. So the difference. Okay, Preeti is saying because I feel I can do it. Why can't she? Yeah. Bhagyashree is saying we should understand rather than questions. So I said, let's understand. Okay. Bani is saying nobody wants to have, but everyone is fearsome. Really, nobody wants to have? Okay, interesting. Anybody here who likes to have some fears? Nivedita is saying, so the child can find some means to either overcome the fear or work around the fear. But why do you want the child to overcome the fear or work around the fear? So is that interesting? Mm-hmm. So let's start with somewhere. Okay, so so if you're okay, Bani, I'll take your thought that you're saying nobody wants to have fear. Okay, Yuvashri is saying fear stops me in doing certain uncomfortable stuffs for me. Okay, let's take somebody on mic. Let's have a little interaction. Okay, Vilmani is saying if you don't. Okay, let's go one by one. Bani, would you like to come on the mic? Let's talk a little. Yeah, are you okay coming on mic? Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming Sunil saying Bani's on phone, so I'm assuming she's not able to come on mic. Is that what you mean? Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Hi, Ratnesh.
Yeah. Hi, Shivani.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, so I could not write because I was doing something, and I want to say something what my father used to tell me when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
He used to say, fears are important.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hindi, he said कि डरना कभी कभी बड़े जरूरी होते हैं, वरना तुम लोग इतने fearless हो जाओगे कि तुम boundless हो जाओगे. So थोड़े थोड़े डर बड़े जरूरी होते हैं. That's what my father used to say. So abhi when I was hearing all this, so I just went to my childhood and got my dad saying कि कभी कभी डर बड़े जरूरी होते हैं. That's what how
Okay.
he used to help us to come out of the fear. I don't know. That's what he used to say. Thank you.
And so what would you say if your child is saying, I feel scared?
Oh, that annoys me.
Sorry,
Yes,
what annoys you?
that annoys me many a times. Most of the times when my child says that I'm scared, so I'm like, what is, I'm there, let's see, let's see what's happening, and let me also be scared with you. So
And why would you say that?
just to help him to maybe overcome or come out of that fear that he has.
And why do you want him to overcome that fear?
I feel many a times when my child is scared, he stops himself from many things. So I
Sure.
feel that he should just give himself a little push to cross that boundary of scaredness and see if it is really scary or I'm feeling it that it is that I'm scared.
Fair enough. So you are saying that the child and some of others also said that that the fear could be stopping me from doing something. I still want you to, I mean everybody to just pause and say, hey, what's really wrong in me not being able to do something? Anything. If meaning I'm just for the sake of it, that's a generalizing. If you ask me to do a somersault, I would say I can't do it. Right? And what's wrong with it? What's wrong with me not being able to do somersault? Even though I want to do somersault, I can't do a somersault right now. Right? But what's wrong in me not being able to do something, anything? What's so much? Why is it that we want them to overcome fears? I'm inviting everybody. It's not just for Shivani, but I'm through Shivani also inviting others. Some I heard that I saw some of you talk about that okay, want her to be brave, or why can't she do it, or
I have a thought over here, if I may say
sure.
something. So when I was a kid, till I was, I think, 19 or 20, I had fears of flush toilet showers. So whenever I would enter the bathroom and see the shower, I felt that it will fall on my head. And in those days, there were those flush, when you just pull the flush and then
Sure.
was
Sorry, can I move you a little faster ahead? No
yes.
need of details.
So
Okay.
I had okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
had
So you had
fears
a
of
fear of
flush toilet.
something falling on you.
Toilet flush. Yes, press. I had fear of fast traffic. And
let's keep with one fear. Okay. So what? So you had that fear. Fine. Then.
And one more, not sleeping alone.
Fair enough. Okay. So any of those or many of those. Yes. So let's
many of those.
Yeah. So
now,
what?
So then I kept on having those fears till I was 20, and one day I realized that I have to overcome these fears. There was an incident. I don't want to get into that.
Wait. Yeah. So before you realized and all that, so you had some fears. I'm still there. So what?
There was a feeling of anxiety in your heart all the time when you go somewhere in somebody else's house and see a different kind of shower, a different kind of flush. So there was that anxiety in me.
Sure.
So
and how were the people around you, your parents, your friends, your family members, how were they responding to this fear?
They were, it was like they used to laugh many a times at me. How come shower come and fall on your head? Just think about it. My brother used to tease me a lot the moment I enter the bathroom and shower will fall.
So let's pause here. And let us say if none of that was happening, whatever you are saying, your brother teasing or people laughing, and if they just if you had a fear, then you have a fear, meaning nothing. There's no big deal about it in that sense. And again, I'm not just talking to Shivan right now, so anybody's welcome to come on mic. But I'm just asking everybody to think about it. What if, in this case, let's say we're talking about Shivani. So what if everybody was just okay with Shivani having this fear and nothing else? It's like It's like Shivani has hair on her head. Anybody has any problem? No. And she has hair on her head. So it's almost like that. And that's very normal to have hair on the head. So it's very normal to have fear. Then Shivani is afraid of whatever, showers falling or sleeping alone. Big deal. What would have happened then? And Shivani, I don't want you to respond. I want others to respond. What would have happened to Shivani? What do you think?
Yes.
Or for that matter, for anybody.
So if your fear is stopping you doing uh, whatever you want to, then you have to overcome it. Otherwise,
Wait. We will come to that. We will come to that, or we'll see what we can do. But I'm just saying, what if we start with this thought that and that everybody around you is saying, yeah, it's just okay. You have this. She's afraid of whatever, something's falling. That's okay.
then
That's
it's
it.
okay. That,
Yeah.
that it is more common situation for us that everybody has accepted that I am fearful for anything
So what would happen?
and I am relaxed.
Yeah.
Maybe over the course of her lifetime, she may overcome her fear or she may live with it. But at least there won't be that stress of, oh, I have a fear or something, I don't know. She may overcome or she may not, but I guess that bother would be a bit less if it's more to do with how people react to you having a fear, right? Like having a fear itself is one aspect, but also how people are judging you or expecting you to overcome. That's an additional pressure to kind of deal with. So I think that aspect would be taken off.
Okay. So one point is that at least there would not be an additional problem to the main problem. Assuming that the main problem, whatever the fear is a problem, let's assume that for now. At least Shivani says it was a problem to her. She had to go through anxiety every time she would go to somebody's house and stuff like that. So that's fair enough that she had a problem, but at least more the problem is now not multiplied because there are so many people trying to do something about it, especially things like making fun of it or denying it. Why are you having it? What's the big deal? And so on and so forth.
When people around me, even the family members, treated my fears with their it's okay to be fearful, when they have treated me like that way, I could be more vulnerable as myself.
What does
When my
that
fears
mean?
are
When you say more
like
vulnerable, what does that mean?
uh, still even today at 30 years, I fear of driving, but it is being shamed by others. At 30, why would you fear of driving?
Oh, so
That
you are
thought,
saying
that
you are
shaming, yeah,
shamed that
yeah,
would trouble you more? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Okay.
When people are, it's okay not to have, if you don't know driving, if it is fearful, that is okay, then I can be more vulnerable and confident about myself of telling, yes, I am of course scared of this. That statement would have been repeated again and again.
Okay. So, Prashant, I'm not saying we are unable to make a difference. We are not yet there. We are not yet there what we are able to do. We are not even coming from the point of view of that. I mean, I'm even questioning, not questioning, I'm saying let's just keep that aside, okay, whether we want or we can make a difference or not. But I'm just there, yeah. What if somebody has a fear? I mean, just think about it. I'm literally putting it like this. Hey, what's the big deal? I don't know, my tone of manner. What's the big deal? Meaning, so what if somebody has a fear? I mean, let it be. What do you say? What if we start there?
Can
Ratnesh,
I
can I
say
say something?
something?
Yeah,
Sorry.
please, Bhagyashree.
Yeah, so I think for me, if I'm fearful about a thing like death or anything, it keeps me busy completely, and it sucks my energy, and like I waste a lot of time thinking about it unless I'm aware that I need to stop thinking about it now and get back to my own like work. But I've seen myself wasting a lot of time thinking about my worry or fear about a certain thing like death or mm, my health or anything.
Mm-hmm. So you are saying that the fear takes away a certain part of your energy, right?
Yeah, energy and time
Yeah.
both.
Yeah. Okay. Energy, time. Fair enough. Yeah. But I'm still. I want you to still pause. I'm not saying what is the problem the fear is creating. No, we're not yet there. I'm just still asking, what if? I'm coming with a what if we said, hey, what's the big deal? I have a fear. Like Erin, I am not sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You are saying, in my case, I've never expressed my fear, so no external pressure. I'm not so sure that there is no external pressure. Even if you have not expressed your fear, we are not talking about whether you have expressed or not. Let us say we are just okay with the fear. Yeah, whether I have expressed it to the world, whether the world is making fun out of it, whether I am thinking it is sucking my energy or time or whatever it is. What if I'm just saying, hey, what if I'm just okay with my fear? Or others are okay with my fear, or I'm okay with another person's fear, let's say a child's fear. I'm there. I'm starting from there. What if it's all right? It's just like I was making it as funny as that. Hey, it's just like, hey, I've got hair on my head. I mean, what's the big deal? Meaning everybody has, you would say. Yeah, precisely. Everybody has some of the other fear. So what's the big deal? Why are we making a big deal out of it? Even inside us, even if we have not shared.
Oh, can I share here?
Please.
This is Rajni. Yeah, maybe because I was a person who was very open about my fears, and I felt the more I expressed, my people around me felt that will make my life more difficult in future if I don't overcome quickly. Or maybe I took that belief seriously that, oh, I have to somehow overcome that.
Yeah. So again, I'm still with that. I'm a little obstinate. No, I'm more than a little obstinate. I'm still there. What if we just said, oh, big deal? It's all right. There's a fear. So what?
Ratan, if you accept your fear, then it's not a big deal. That I have a fear of height, and I am okay with it. I have no problem with it. Yeah, I can't jump from a height, or I can't do anything on height. It is my fear, and I have accepted it. It doesn't make any difference to me. So I think if you have fear of something, then first you should accept it. Yeah, this is the thing, and I have fear of that, and it's okay. Yeah, I have fear of height, and I accepted it. So there is no problem.
Yeah, so I have a fear of lightning and I have accepted it. But when it actually, when there is actual lightning happening, at that time, even if I accept, I'm literally shaking. So otherwise I'm okay with it. I've accepted it that I'm fearful of, I am afraid when there is lightning around. At that time, I think people fear certain things. I fear lightning. That's it.
Sure. I think Jayashree is also saying something that, okay, because of this, you might be missing something. Fair enough. I'm not trying to say that you are not missing something or the child is not missing something, or anybody else who is, the point is not whether you're missing or not. The point is, what would it do to me or to the other person if we just first kind of just said, it's okay, it's all right.
Now when I'm listening to you, and if it is okay, if I'm scared of showers, or it is okay. Now I feel maybe there is less anxiety or no anxiety, because there's no external pressure on me to overcome fear. There's no external pressure. There is no additional pressure. It's like I have it. Okay, I have it. Maybe I'll be fine with it one day. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it will reduce automatically the fears and anxiety.
Yeah, I just don't want to conclude that just because we are okay with it, it will automatically reduce or not. It may not. Yeah, that's a side benefit if it does. If it leaves you in a better capacity to deal, to work on it, we will come to that. Then that's a side benefit. I'm not yet there. I'm not trying to say that it will help you. So you're right. Yeah, you may need to. You may still feel terrified when it's lightning, or you may avoid certain things, like avoid the situation. Yeah, surely, meaning you might avoid it. As simple as that. Meaning there's so many people who sometimes I say, can we go live on a call? I spoke to a friend that I want to go, there's an interesting discussion we are doing. Can we go live on a call and, discuss this? He says, no, I can't come live on camera. No, I'm not doing this. And what? So they are in a way avoiding because they are, well, let's say they are scared of being live on camera, and that's all right. Meaning that's all right. Meaning why do we don't need to? Everybody doesn't need to do everything, and yes, sometimes we might have to. Yeah. So I'm why I'm drumming on this point so much, because I feel that at some point we are at odds with our fears. Okay. As if they are out there kind of opposing us in some way. Maybe because what it is making us do, let's say, making us feel or do, and we will come to that. We will absolutely come to that in a little while. But much before that, I'm saying, what if we can just be okay with fears just as hair on our head? And what that leaves us with. That's the thought that I want to work on, because I feel in theory, we might say, wait, let me put that. That, yeah, I wanted to show this particular cartoon, which I quite like. Somehow the whole concept of acceptance itself, I think, is sometimes we think that I have accepted myself, or I have accepted my fears, and I'm literally poking a hole there and saying, have we really? Because when I'm not feeling the fears, so right now I'm sure you guys are not feeling your fears. If you have one, then it's easy to talk about acceptance. What happens when you're feeling the fear? That's the time to check out the acceptance. That's the time to look at the fear and say, okay, so you're there. Hello, welcome back. Right? Meaning, I'm not saying in this nice tone, but are you getting me? To me, that is the big deal. That just creates a space. I'm more there. That just creates a space for somebody to be, whether it's myself or whether it's the other person. And then the other person can operate in whichever way the other person wants to operate. whether the person wants to overcome, does not want to overcome, or do whatever want to do with the fear. But somewhere, I personally seen very strongly that this is missing, and it's almost like a platform. If the platform of acceptance is not there, then everything else becomes that many more times difficult, that many more times complicated. You see, then I'm fighting either my own self-talk or the talk of others, and then and this whole embarrassment or that comes with it, or the anxiety that comes with it, or the shame that comes with it, or whatever, or that even that internal struggle that I have created for myself. Somewhere, if you can see the slide on the society has created this beautiful image of being fearless, right? And that's supposed to be like, that's like the image, like we gotta get it kind of thing. And they even say "Dar ke aage jeeta hai." Really? I don't know. I don't know if there's such a thing like that. Or is it just a nice marketing or whatever gimmick that has been played on us? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I don't think. This to me is like the line. It's in Hindi, so people who don't understand, the line says, "Beyond fear is victory." Yeah, and Pranav is giving another one from a movie which says, if you are scared, you are dead, and so on. Well, I think that's exactly what I'm questioning. And this image is something which kind of bothers many of us. Personally, I completely disagree with this line that it's after the fear that I have, or beyond fears is where the victory lies. I think it's the other way around. It's victory is always with the fear, not beyond the fear. Personally, this Mountain Dew advertisement talks about all kinds of adventure sports. Now, some of you know me, I'm majorly into adventure sports. I do all kinds of adventure sports. I fly, I deep dive into seas, I swim oceans, I do all kinds of stuff. And I don't think I have ever been fearless. The fear is always there. And the fear is, yes, it is useful. We'll come to that. But more important than that, it's there. It's part of me. It's part of the deal. In fact, I would even go to the extent to say the fun of adventure is because there is fear. If there was no fear, where will be the adventure? There will be no adventure. And the word adventure means that there is fear, and I don't have to be fearless. In fact, I have to do it with the fear. And that's let's call it the fun or the joy of it, that I'm with the fear, yet I am doing something. Obviously, that does not mean everybody should do adventure. But what I'm trying to more come at is that this whole notion that one has to be fearless. And why? Everybody. It's like, again, if you allow me, one has to be hairless on the head. Why? It's okay. It's all right. I'm just good. I can't be 100%. So however I am, I'm fine. And if I can be there, then I can figure out whether I develop, how do I, let's call it, deal with the situation, that I'll figure out. Okay, let me pause.
Ratnesh, I'm also thinking that, like when we make such statements like, being fearless and all, like what's the length and depth of being fearless, right? Like there could be some fear of something in someone, right? Like we just throw such statements, but where does it end or where does it start? Like, how do you ascertain that you're fearless of everything.
Sure, sure. And what could be one fearless? I could be fearless about something else, as in a sense that does not bother me. Like Sunil was saying, height bothers me. Maybe to me, height don't bother me. But then I could be fearful of something totally else, which Sunil goes and operates people. I might be scared cutting anybody's skin. So yes. Yes, I'm there. Please come on, Mike, share, because I somehow don't have a formula. If you were hoping you will come to a session with me and then there will be a formula and we will resolve and dissolve all our fears. Sorry, wrong webinar. I am just saying we are creating an environment of fear, an image of fearlessness. We are creating it for our children. And not just through these ghosts and those kind of things, from all kinds of things. Yeah, even fear of future. What will you become? What will you do if you play games on your mobile whole day? You will spoil your life. So now I have to now worry about spoiling my life. I'm not saying we shouldn't say this. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying the kind of environment that we create for our children, for ourselves, where we are trying to use fear for making people give up things or do certain things that we want them to do and so on. So we create an ecosystem which says it's not good to be fearful, or it's not even good to have a fear. And then we leave people with this, yeah.
Ratnesh, can I share something?
Sure.
I feel personally that fear is something that when a child is born, then the child is born fearless, but it is our fears that get reflected in the child, and then that child grows with that fear. Like if I'm like scared of lizard, then my child is scared of lizard, and she grows with it then. So it is my fear that translates into my child. So basically, they are born fearless. That is what I feel.
Well, I'm not too sure if I will subscribe to that notion that they are born fearless. Well, I would say that they are born with a system, and doctors will help me if that makes sense. They are born with a system which has a response mechanism or a react mechanism. And that react mechanism could react to different things in different ways. So just like Bhagyashree is reacting to lightning in a certain way, while Sunil is reacting to heights in a certain way. So, so we are born with a reactive system, which is supposed to save us, which is supposed to be a protective system. And in that sense, we are born with a mechanism of fears. So I don't know, when you say that we are born fearless, I disagree with that. I don't want to work on that notion. I'm very clear we are born with a mechanism of fears. Yeah, you can call it defense mechanism, you can call him whatever, active safety mechanism, you can call it evolutionary psychology, etc., etc. Everything, yeah. But we know that very well. We are born with a fear mechanism or a fear-producing machinery, if I may put it this way. And hence, we shouldn't say we are born fearless. In that sense, yes, we may acquire certain fears from our parents or from people around, or we may not. That is again not necessary. So two siblings, one may acquire the parent fear, another may not. So it is nothing to do with that every parent fear has to go to the child also. So yes, environment will definitely may cause the child also to take the same fear. And there could be totally different scenarios where the child has a different fear totally from the parents, not the same as parents. So and that's okay. If my fear is causing my child or my spouse or my people around me to be fearful also, well, that's their problem. If they want to take my fear, but that's the fear I have. So if you have a fear of lizards, that's absolutely fine. If your child is copying you, well, that's her choice. So I'm saying all of this because I'm again wanting to go one more level deeper and say, let's accept ourselves as fearful people. In not fearful, okay, full sounds like I'm full of fears, not as people having some fears. That's all. And that just leaves us in a lot of space where now we can decide what we want to do about them. If at all we want to do, in most cases, we may even not want to do anything about it. I mean, big deal. I had these fears, let it be. Like how Sunil was saying, I won't jump from a cliff. If he's scared of heights, he won't climb whatever Qutub Minar and the top of the tower, and he won't do. That's absolutely fine.
No, I will climb, but I will not look down.
Yeah. So, Parul, when you say it is liberating when we overcome fear, I would say it is liberating when we accept ourselves. To me, that is the liberation. We overcome, okay, suppose I'm fearful of heights. Suppose Sunil overcomes this fear. Yeah, so now he can look down from a height. I would say, okay, so I'm trying to make it sound trivial because even if I don't overcome, I'm still liberated. Why do I have to think of myself as non or less liberated just because I have a fear? That is exactly the acceptance I'm talking about. Yeah, if I am there with that acceptance, if I'm there with the acceptance, then I am in itself a liberated person in that sense. Then I don't have to, when I can overcome something, that's fine. When I no more, let's say, cringe when it's lightning, then it's just fine. It's okay. It's one whatever thing taken care of. So in that sense, it's not about liberation. Liberation happens with acceptance to me.
Ratnesh, I also feel that, that is that individual's journey to make, right? Whether that liberation happens or not. This is a often tendency that we see that, we say it's very liberating and all, but unless that individual wants to make that journey and, go through it, it's of no use to say that it's liberating for once you overcome your fear. It's for them to decide. I mean, that liberty or that freedom should be there is what I feel like, to decide for oneself whether we want to make that journey at this point or some other point or never. That
Absolutely.
should be.
Absolutely. All of these things, denying, questioning, advising, ridiculing, this is so much a parcel of the whole fear business, because the fear is seen as something negative. The first response that I get from people, hey, then I'm limiting myself. And I'm saying, fine. If I think that as a limited person, I am limitless, then I'm limitless. You know what I mean? As in any case, I'm a limited person. I can't suddenly fly like a bird for that matter. So you might say I'm limited. Yes, I have to depend on something to make me fly. Which is why I'm saying it's more of an image, and if we just let that go, then we are in the domain of yes, I'm there. And now that if you are in the field of or the space of acceptance, now you can do something about it. Okay. Sunil, I'm again not very sure, just because children live near a river necessarily will not be scared of rivers. Even people living near a river can be scared of rivers, and even people not living near a river need not be. But exposure definitely helps. But obviously, again, we can't expose everybody to everything. So whatever we can expose them to, or whatever I get exposed to is fine. And whatever I'm not exposed to, that's okay. I can be scared of it. I'm always scared of unknown. I haven't yet traveled to Mars, but I think I'm scared. I would think of it as a scary journey to travel into space, right? So that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's assume. Okay, so I'll pause once more. If anybody has any other thought about acceptance, because to me that's the fundamental. It's like the platform or the ground on which we stand. We can build from there. Once we have that space, then we can move ahead. So if anybody has a thought here, we can discuss it before we jump on to the next thought. Yeah.
I just want to add
Yeah.
here, like, yeah, there can be different kinds of fear. Can we generalize it? Like, I can have a fear like of heights, which I may face it once in a year, or I might be scared of sleeping alone, which I face it every night, or I might be scared of something that makes my living difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we generalize it in understanding it? Because maybe something makes it more worrying because it occurs frequently, or something that easily can be avoided.
Okay, I'm to me, I'm not trying to generalize. What I'm trying to say is see or think or explore what acceptance can do, whether the fear is a recurring daily fear or it's a non-daily fear, as you said, a sporadic fear. But let's just see what acceptance would do. What if I completely be at peace with it, in that sense, not in the sense of if I'm scared, right? And that's fine, and I have to go through it. But at least I know that I have this, and I'm okay with it in that sense. And what will that do to me, irrespective of the frequency? It could be a daily thing also. So in that sense, I'm generalizing, yes, and I'm saying, irrespective of the trouble that it gives you, what would this acceptance do to us, and especially do to children? I don't know if I answered your question, but the point is, as I said, to me, a lot of times we create an environment of this stress by saying or seeing. So I know if the child did not have this fear, the child can accomplish, let's say, ABC. And because I know that the child can accomplish this ABC, I kind of start thinking about how to, let's say, get rid of this fear from the child. And because I start thinking about that, I get engaged with the ridding of it before even accepting it. And that is what creates the issue, whether it's a frequent fear or an infrequent fear.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because I was coming from a point, because I see two of my children, and they have different kinds of fears. The way I think about one child's fear, I see it's a very different thing in another one.
Unfortunately, in most cases, we seem to be more in the denial of fear or in the avoidance of fear or kind of pushing them away. Yeah. Okay. So what can we do? Okay. Obviously, somebody saying, help us find a way out. Well, I really don't know a way out, but I can then once I have started accepting my fear or my child's fear, then the next thought would be to understand it. Now, it is not necessary that I spend my energy into understanding a fear. I might just leave it thinking, this is all right. I'm okay with that fear. I don't need to do anything, so I don't even need to understand. Now, let's assume that we want to do something about that fear, not necessarily get rid of it or overcome it, but I say, okay, since I have this fear, let me try and understand it. Now, what does this mean to you? What does it mean to understand a fear? I want to hear from you. What would you do to understand a fear? Or rather, why would you want to understand a fear? Or how would you understand a fear? Sorry?
By questioning why am I scared?
Okay. By questioning. Now, suppose I'm scared of, let's say, spiders, right? If I question why am I scared of spiders, you think there will be an answer?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, so you get the point. Why normally is not a very, very interesting question. It's a very kind of interrogative question. It's normally asked to somebody who's committed a crime. Why did you do this? No, but we haven't committed a crime. We're just scared of something. So how do we understand it? Or even why do we want to understand it? What is this understanding? Can somebody help me?
Maybe to understand that squishy feeling or that discomfort that, comes when you have a fear of something.
Yeah, but what is there to understand in it? Suppose you are scared and you are going through a certain feeling. Okay. What is there for me to understand it? I mean, so let's say, Kritika, do you like ice creams?
Yeah.
So, suppose you're eating an ice cream and you're enjoying it. Now, do I know what you are feeling?
Oh, so you mean the other person to understand? Like as a... No, I was saying for the person experiencing that fear.
Okay. Even if you are experiencing it, what is there to understand in it? Suppose you are eating an ice cream. You are enjoying it. What is there to understand in it? You are enjoying it. You like the taste. It is whatever on your tongue and mouth or whatever. What is there to understand in it?
Ratnesh, with my fear of lightning or of death, I want to understand because I think there is something that I don't know about the lightning or about death, which keeps me disturbing and, as I have already said, takes up my energy and time.
Okay.
So I don't want to waste.
What is this understanding that you want? Give us a lead. What would you do?
I would either check or talk to someone who might be understanding lightning, what it is, or what death is.
So okay. So let's say you will want to know the fear, know more about it, like say lightning or.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fair
and
enough.
maybe
So
also just check are there any people around me who go through the same thing and what do they do about it? So that would be another kind of understanding, if that helps me.
Okay. How do others look at it? Okay. How do others look at it? Okay. I'm just typing it in the chat, whatever So what is understanding? So we're just building there. Okay. So yeah, we can know more about it. So, and we can ask, how do others look at it? What else? What else is understanding?
To know what the other person is going through and to maybe support them morally.
Are you talking about supporting, or are you talking about understanding?
Understanding so that we can offer some support.
Okay, so you're saying understanding will help you offer support. Is that what you're saying to others?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then how would you understand them?
Um, by knowing what they're going through when they are fear of something, they
Well,
are feeling.
if you ask me what I feel, I say I'm feeling scared. What's there to understand in that? And realize we're talking about this understanding is after the acceptance. So in a way, anyways, you know that somebody is going through something and I have accepted that person. So what is it that we are trying to understand here? Apart from accepting, we have already accepted. So Parul, what you're sharing, I will again say we have already accepted. Yeah, so Sunil, we can talk about the feeling. How much will we talk about the feeling? I'll keep on saying, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. That is what I feel. What else you want? I can tell you my hands are sweaty, my legs are shaky. What else? Okay, what makes me fear what I fear? Okay. So I can tell you spiders make me fear what I fear. And then what would be your next question? Would your next question be what makes me fear when the spider is there? Is that what we are trying to get at? But I don't know. I just see the spider and it makes me fear.
I have a thought when I'm thinking about my fears. So the understanding, what I feel is just be with that acceptance of my fears, and when I have accepted, just be there.
But that's not understanding. That's acceptance. Good. Awesome. But what next? How do we now understand the fear? If at all you want to. So as I clarified earlier, if you don't want to, if you're okay with acceptance and you are okay with being with the fear, absolutely nothing else to do. But when I move into the next step, so you will say, okay, so what if I want to do something about it? I'd say, okay, let's understand. Are you getting my? That's why I've written the word understand like that. We think understand is a simple word. I am wondering what is understand. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what I would say. Understanding is knowing the source of it. Okay.
Maybe
So just
it
one moment.
also,
Just one. So Prashant is saying maybe if I can get to know the source of it. Where did it start or where did it came from? Though in many cases, we may not even know how or where it came from, but fair enough. Rajni is saying we can understand the pattern of behavior. Okay, so we can see what is the physical behavior. Maybe physical behavior is to freeze or to run away or to be sleepless with anxiety and stuff like that. Yeah, so that also can be part of understanding. Yeah, Nandakma is saying, I mean, we don't know what to. Welcome, join my club. So it's easier to say, we understand, but isn't it very interesting to, we use this word very loosely. Yeah, I understand your fear. But I would say, come on, how can you understand my fear? Because I am going through it, you are not going through it. So what is it that we can understand? When we say understand, what is it that we can understand? Yeah, sorry, Bhagishri was on mic, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying maybe understanding at that point that this is a temporary thing which I'm going through, and which has to be taken a little lightly, not.
So if you're saying which has to be taken lightly, you're again going back to acceptance. Yeah, yeah. We are assuming now the acceptance chapter is over. In the sense, we've completely accepted it. But
Okay.
now, how do we understand it? So good. So we are getting some clues. We can talk about, okay, the consequences of it. So that is part of understanding. So I hope somebody is making their notes. We can understand consequences. We can understand pattern of behavior. We can understand the theory behind it, as in lightning, or we can read about lizards, or we can find out how others look at it. Okay. Yeah, we can understand the emotions, the thoughts, the stories. We can understand how media projects it. We can understand how in stories this is told as, how this fear has been used in the story. How in the movie, when the lightning cracks, Bhagyashree, the heroine goes and hugs the hero. You know what I mean? So how it has been projected everywhere. We can understand that. Yeah, but yes, exactly, buddy. By understanding, I don't know whether it will help to cope or not, but understanding is the next step, and we are just trying to find out what are the different ways in which we can. Yeah, so Vaishnavi is saying, ask questions, but please tell us some of the questions. Vaishnavi, please share in the chat. It would help all of us. We are all trying to co-create this understanding. Understand the difference between fear and the thoughts. Yeah, stories. Yeah. Okay, just one. Yeah. So we can uh, we can wait. Let me share. Okay, let me share something. It's 10:07. So I will give you an example of an understanding. Again, I'm just giving you an example. I'm not trying to say that this is the way to understand. Whatever you have shared, many of you, I think that somebody, I hope, is taking notes. That constitutes understanding, and many more things. So I want to share this little story from my childhood. This was when I was a teenager, and you can see the slide, and you can see what is it saying, and see if that what I'm sharing makes any sense. Um, so mm, um, Yeah, I was talking about a story from my childhood when I was a teenager, and I would go out and to my friend's place to, I would say I'm going to study. Yeah, let's leave whether I would study or not. Let's leave that question aside. But I would go to my friend's house, and when I come back, I'll usually come back late. I know I'll tell my mom I'll come at 7, but I'll sometimes come at 8, sometimes come at 9 in the night, and obviously my mom would be very anxious, and she would be like, pacing outside, worrying. Yeah. Um, so my dad observed this behavior of my mom's, that she keeps pacing outside and in deep anxiety of, why has he not come? In those days, there were no mobile phones, so she couldn't have called me. We didn't even have a phone to call at home. So there was no way to communicate. So she would, walk around in anxiety. And um, so one day, what my dad did was he went when my mom was pacing around, and I had not come and I was late. So he went to my mom and he said, um, yesterday did he come late? So my mom said, yeah, he came late. Uh, did anything happen to him? So my mom said, no, thank goodness, nothing happened to him. So my dad said, okay. And last Monday, did he come late? She said, yeah. And was he fine? She said, yeah, he was fine. And previous week, how many times he came late? She said, almost 3-4 times he came late. And I had to scold him so much, and still he doesn't listen. And my dad said, and was he absolutely fine? She said, yeah, he was absolutely fine. So like this, he made a little dialogue with my mom. And that's it. And then he left. And obviously later on, my mom told me this. That's how I know that this happened. This dialogue happened. And if you look at this dialogue, It's very interesting, right? He did not say, why are you anxious? Why are you scared? Nothing will happen to your son. No, nothing. What he did was, if you now look at this little screen share that I have, he realized that her fear was in future, as in she was imagining something. Do you agree with me? My mom's future was creative in that sense. We are very creative people. We are good at creating fears for ourselves. So she is imagining something and she's kind of stuck in that future. Now, if he tries to negate that, it wouldn't work. But if he tries to shift or at least invite other data, which is like a past data, so that's what he did. He brought the past data into a person who is stuck with the future imagination. Did you realize what he did? And that's very interesting. He did not even try to reduce the fear. He just made her understand herself and her, as you said, thought process and her way of looking at things. Let me give you another example. This example was of, this example was of a child who was, this was when we had a center in Bangalore. So all the other children had left and this child, a young child, almost about 4 years or 3 to 4 years, who was left all alone. And all he could see was empty rooms and empty center, except for, me there. And he obviously started crying, thinking that, where is everybody? Everybody has gone home, So guess what kind of fear was he going through? Was he going through a past fear or a present fear or a future fear? What do you think? What kind of fear he had? Yep, take a guess. Anyway, it's a guess. We can't say what kind of fear he's going through, right? Because we can't look into his head. We have to take a guess. Okay.
Present fear.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody's saying present. Somebody's saying future. Yeah. Yeah. So I also thought that it's a present fear because he could see in front of him nothing. Nobody. It's all empty, empty, empty. He's all alone in that sense. So according to me, he had a present fear. The whole scenario was scary. Yeah, that there is nobody in the center. Yeah. So what I did was I sat down next to him and I started talking to him that, hey, who would come to pick you up, mom or dad? He said, mom. I said, okay, how will mom come? Will she come in an auto or a car? So he said, car. And I said, which car you have? I took out few brand names and he said, that car, some name. And he said, oh, okay. I said, and which color of car you will be sitting in? So he said, that color. And I said, where will you be sitting in? And he said, I said, front seat or the back seat. He said, front seat. And so on. So I kind of little conversed with him about, what I'm getting at, future. I was talking about what is going to happen in future. And I just conversed that. That's all. I didn't do anything else. I did not try to solve the fear, but I helped possibly him to understand his own situation. Right? So again, this is just one example. I'm not trying to say that this is the way of doing it. This is one you can say way of understanding. There can be many, many more, and I'm sure in this particular case, what we're trying to do is widen their canvas by bringing in other tenses. Like in grammar, they say the past tense and the future tense. Well, if we are stuck in one and that is making us tense, why not expand the canvas and look at a wider picture? So that helps us understand our life in a more three-dimensional, past, present, future kind of thingy. But this is just one way. I'm sure if you start thinking, you can think of so many ways in which we can understand either ourselves or the other person. And that understanding helps us understand it. Whether it helps us deal with the fear or not, whether it lessens the impact of it, whether we are able to connect with it better or not, I think that's something that I can't predict. And I'm not even trying to get to a result. I'm just trying to understand it because it is happening either in me or in the child. Yeah. So that's where we are with this whole understanding. Yeah. Yeah, let me come back here. Any thoughts?
I have a question, Ritesh.
Yeah, Pranav.
Yeah, many times we try to distract or divert somebody to something else to probably get the person off focus from the fear. So what? Well, I'm just kind of loud thinking and probably asking everyone: would it be better to let the person be in this fear thing and accepting it, and then being around that thing, or just diverting or distracting would be a better strategy? Like, I'm just trying to understand you.
See, so that's obviously your choice. If you feel at that moment distracting is going to help the other person, and if you feel that that's useful, please go ahead. When you what's wrong or right about distraction is good enough. Yeah. The idea is where I am possibly slightly different is more long term. So once you have accepted, can I understand myself or understand the child in this case? So that understanding can again lead to the child or myself to see what I want to do with that fear.
Okay.
So now short term, you want to kind of unstuck a person by using some kind of a distraction, including chocolates. There's nothing wrong or right about it. That's just a quick fix, at least at that time. But long term, would you like to, if that is something that you would like to explore, then would you like to work with understanding?
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
Just adding to this point, like sometimes, even as adults, right, we want to be in that state and see how it unfolds. So while you are experiencing that fear or going through those moments of experience, like there would be struggle and but as an individual you may want to be in that phase and see the end of it at times, but uh, there is always this urgency maybe from others to kind of distract or kind of come to a solution, or because there's a lot of discomfort when we see others struggling or not being able to see the clarity of the situation. So I think sometimes it's also okay to uh, let that individual experience
Sure,
it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might unhook the person at that moment, and at a
Mm.
more calmer time, go back to understanding the fear.
Mm.
Yeah. So it really, I can't really comment on what is better. It really has to be your judgment of how you want to. So, and I don't think there is one right space, because maybe at that time, because of the fear, the understanding process can be very limited. Could be in a situation like Yuvashri is saying, what if the past is increasing the fear at the present? Well, if expanding their horizon of time is increasing it, then obviously you will not use that as an understanding, because more than understanding, it's more like a trigger. So that is why I'm saying it is not a question of a particular way of doing it. It's more important that we are trying to understand, and we can understand maybe at that moment or maybe later on. Or maybe one very interesting space when we try and understand fear is before we think it's going to happen. So if I go to Bakishri's example, let us say I can sense a thunderstorm building up in the sky. That's a nice time to talk about, hey, what if there is lightning? Yeah. How do you see that phenomena now? So that's an interesting time. So we can be doing it in advance. Like if you look at, so we're talking about, either we get familiar about it, we read about it, talk about it, like we were talking about, exploring the lightning part, or understanding something by reading about it and so on. We can change dimensions or windows like we did just now. We change the time aspect of it, or we can change the perspective of it. Why don't the birds get scared of the lightning, and why does this, how does this deal, and how does that deal? Or we can do a preparation as to before something is going to happen. Before we are going to a party, can we talk about, hey, the fear of strangers and fear of so many adults around for a child, let's say. Or we can talk about in advance about, hey, and now let's say exams are coming. So, fear of failure, or an important meeting is coming up sometime. So I'm saying, so it depends. And again, there is no one, that's why I've left one bullet points. There can be many more. There is no one way to understand it. And it will again depend on each individual. But the idea is to invest into it. I also wanted to, put one more slide here. Where is the slide? Sorry. Okay. Yeah. One more thought related to this is often we are the ones, I'm saying we as adults are the ones who actually create the ecosystem I was talking about. And one very interesting word which kind of creates this environment of fears is this word should. Any thoughts? What does this word should? In fact, I claim that, hey, anybody, if you want me to add trouble to your life, let me know. I can very easily add by adding this word should. You should do this. You should go on stage. You should look smart. You should walk tall, or you should do this way, or you should do it that way. You see what's the problem with this word should? It invariably creates a trigger, an anxiety, and something which then gets absorbed into each individual self-talk. So even the children start creating that self-talk for themselves. I should be like this. I should be fearless. Yeah, I'm a boy. I should be big and handsome and without any fear. I should be courageous. Have you heard that? I should be brave. Yeah. Pranav, I agree with you. We also say, call it, okay, this is your self-made fear. Ghosts don't exist. Yeah. So you should have an insurance policy. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a very funny kind of a system that we have created. And a very subtle change from should to could will totally change the whole environment. Instead of saying you should be like this, you should not be afraid of ghosts because that is your fear. They don't exist. Could say you could be with ghosts, or you need not be with ghosts. The choice is yours. Now, the moment I give a choice, I'm actually giving the child the power. But when I give the should, I make the other person feel powerless, or make them fearful. So as simple as that, we are the ones, and when I say we, including the advertisements like, the one that we saw before, or people, or stories, and so on. So that's very interesting. So I like to discuss this with children, especially with children, that, hey, what do shoulds do to you? And how, whenever you hear a should, you can just mentally replace it with could, because finally there is no should. That's just a way of saying. And if that is going to make you only feel more and more anxious and fearful, then what's the whole point of living? Because then we are just getting into one kind of prison to another prison. So this is an important one, because I would say we create this shoulds around everything. You should look good. This you should look good creates so much fear, even to the extent that I am fearful to talk to people because I don't look good. How will I talk? And what if I don't talk well? Or I'm fearful to, let's say, go and propose to somebody, or try out something, or ask something. So then these translate into our day-to-day fears, which I think are more prevalent, which we may not even categorize them as fears, but I think they are as important as other fears. Okay, so this is the last slide. A lot of times we tend to think that there is a package of, I wish there were some strategies, how do I get rid of something? I think, especially with children, I personally feel the more I allow them to come up with strategies and say, hey, what do you want to do about them? Or how do you want to go about doing? Or if you want to do something about it. At least with children, I've seen the more I allow them to come up with their strategies, the more they are able to deal with it. Not that everybody wants to deal with it. The one who does not want to deal with it does not deal with it. But when I invite them with their strategies rather than thinking of my strategies, because I don't feel the same fear. So then it becomes an external strategy. So a lot of people say, hey, so how do I help? I say, by asking the other person to come up with their own strategies. And part of understanding would be to also share, think, try out, explore different things. Yeah. And that's the life's adventure. Yeah, and a lot of times not dealing can be their way of dealing, because they're not really wanting to deal with it. They're just okay with that fear. And in that sense, it just goes away. Like I think Shivani was saying, somewhere around 20 years, she could deal with those fears, so-called deal or get them off. Well, that's the time you could get it off. Isn't it all right? Isn't it fine? Isn't it okay? And if you couldn't get it off, that's also fine. And if you got it off much earlier, that's also fine. What I'm what I'm trying to also say is that we think in some ways that the fear is out there. It's like an opposite. So there was this swordsman who went to or rather a person who wanted to become a swordsman or a knight, you can call it. He went to a master and he said that, hey, I want to conquer fear. He says, yeah, come in. And he took him inside a room, and there stood a big guy with a big sword. And he said, there you go. He says, but I can't conquer him. He says, no, who told you to conquer him? He's there. You can call him to be part of your team. How about making him part of your team? How about inviting him to be your partner? How about befriending him? And one way is to understand it. And that's a journey, which I don't have an answer to. There's no one way to do that, but that's the whole idea. The whole idea is not to fight them or overcome them, but to befriend them, to be with them, to consider them to be on your side. Not necessarily always in terms of useful, not necessarily always a friend is always useful. The friend can create trouble for you also. It's much the same way. Maybe your friend or spouse, anybody can create trouble for you, much like the fear. But sometimes it is just there with you. Yeah. So there we are. That's what I wanted to share about fears. I don't know if that is in any which way helpful, because as I said, there's no earth-shaking thing that we are talking about today, but something simple, something fundamental, something that is part of our life. Anybody, any thoughts? We are already at 10:30. It's time to kind of close, but any thought, any quick thought, or anything you would like to ask or share? Yeah. Yeah, Anjali, I wouldn't say aren't some fears good. I would say fears are just fears, meaning you call them good, bad. That's just a value judgment we are making. I'm just saying the fears are there. They're helpful. They are good. They are bad. They are sometimes troublesome. They're like friends. Friends are good also, but friends can be troublesome, irritating also. So let's say they're just friends. How about that? Yes, Pakishri. Fears take up your energy and time, so do my friends. And maybe they're taking up your energy because you are struggling against them. Maybe we can just let them be there beside you. And then they may not take up so much time and energy. And yes, spend time in understanding. Okay, so we can pause here. Most of you are familiar with it, but just sharing, we do a program called Jagrati, which we have a new batch starting on 6th Jan. So if you are interested, you can check out the website. So that's more like an advertisement at the end of the session, but I guess most of you are anyway familiar with that. You have done that program. So yeah, this is kind of redundant. And we also meet every Saturday if you want to know a little more about Aarohi and the open learning that we talk about. And these are our different social media channels if you want to connect. If you're not already on that, most of you are already. So let me leave you with this. Anybody, any last thought to close the sessions? No, this was not live on FB. I'm having some problem of putting it live on FB. But it was live on YouTube, and I'll be posting the link also. Okay, cool. So let's say good night and enjoy your fears. I often say this to children. How about shaking hands with them, hugging them, kissing them, enjoying with them? Yeah. When did you last have a cup of coffee with your fear? Yeah. So, yeah. Sure, Pani, you are right. It goes with every feeling. Yeah. But today's feeling is fear. Some other day we'll talk about the other feeling. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night.
Bye.